Week 1 is never the problem when someone is working towards fat loss. Week 3 or 4 is where it actually falls apart. In this episode, I'm going to run through exactly why this happens and what to do differently to avoid this. When people start their fat loss journeys, their motivation is high. Everything sort of feels new to them, or, they've got this motivation to finally make a change to, achieve this end goal that they really want to achieve. Often when they're starting out as well, they get a few quick wins, which will, make that motivation even higher and the whole high of the thing great. But the reality is, in most cases, it's probably just water weight because they're making better choices now, so there's not as much fluctuations going on in their body. And just cutting back on some of those things that really aren't good for them and that are holding them back. So in that first week or the first 2 weeks, they'll see some really good results, but then they don't realize that realistically over a long-term period, it does start to balance out and stabilize. And it's not always going to be, 3 kilo drops every single week. Those sort of early results can create a false expectation for what to expect going forward. When they go from, losing 2 kilos in the first week or two to all of a sudden dropping about half a kilo a week, or maybe they're not even dropping any weight depending on their plan, the whole novelty wears off and it's just not as exciting anymore, and all the other bad stuff starts to kick in. Cravings are going to come back stronger than week 1 because they haven't literally just started. They've actually had some time now to, get cravings and build up some intense cravings. And real life starts to collide with the plan. Maybe week 1 or 2 when they started, they picked the quietest time for them to start. But maybe week 3 and 4 is when stuff starts to pick up a bit, social events, you're back at work, and other things just jump in the way because life does happen. Medical appointments, you might get sick. Maybe your grandma's cat has a birthday party, I don't know. The reality is life is never just going to be quiet and just like that for your whole life or for long enough for you to see fat loss results. And this is the thing, a lot of people take up restrictive plans, so this is the exact timeline that they will get with these restrictive plans. What I've learned massively is that plans that are built on, willpower and just ultimately restricting hard just never work long term, because you'll eventually run out of willpower when other things start to kick in with life. If the plan is never accounted for treats, social events, and life in general, you're going to struggle when you get to the point that you've got intense cravings. You've got days where things just happen and they don't go exactly to plan. Doesn't count for when you're sick or maybe you get an injury. And then when you finally have one bad day, that's where you think, I've ruined it. And there's no point in continuing on. A lot of people will adapt this mindset that they've had this one bad day and they're like, I failed. But the reality is you don't need to be perfect all the time. A consistent plan and consistent results come from consistent work. So that's where you need to find a plan that you can be consistent with that fits your life. And this is where having a sustainable plan comes into place and is so key. Yes, a sustainable plan. You might not see, a crazy bloody 8 kilo drop in 6 weeks, like you might if you actually stuck to these crash diets for long enough to see these long-term results. Which once again is why we're talking about in the video, because people never do. But you know what I mean, you might not get that quick dopamine hit of early results. A sustainable plan usually will be about half kilo a week, maybe a bit more depending on your activity level. Usually it's about half kilo a week, which when people look at that from a short-term result thing, only losing about half kilo a week, yes, it doesn't seem like much, but what if you go down 3 months? That could be anywhere from 5 to 10 kilos, which for a plan that fits your life a lot more and is a lot easier to stick to, that's pretty good. That in 3 months time, you haven't had to restrict anything with social events, you're still able to enjoy your day of eating, and your training isn't completely burning you out. That's a pretty good trade-off, still being able to lose 5-10 kilos. That's what we've been building on the Landen coaching program. I've had trials and errors with so many different approaches before. The restrictive ones never work, and I can tell you that, which is why I've adapted a sustainable approach that actually fits my life, that takes into account me wanting to eat ice cream every night. Yes, I'm in photo shoot prep right now. If you guys haven't seen on my Instagram page, I've got a photo shoot in about 2 weeks. I'm getting into the shape of my life. I've still been eating ice cream every single night. Yes, it is protein ice cream, but I've been having a whole type of protein ice cream, sometimes protein lava cakes as well. On the weekends, I might treat myself, get some takeaway as well. I can still include all these things and still lose a lot of weight and still get in some pretty good shape. We have heaps of clients on the Landen coaching program, which you can see on the screen right now, that have been doing the same. And it's literally our guarantee to them that they'll lose 5-10 kilos in the first 90 days with us. Otherwise, we'll refund them their money. Anyone who's actually followed the plan and stuck to it hasn't had to worry about that. Our plan's a literal science. If you follow it, you're going to lose weight. If you're someone that every time you try a fat loss plan, you fail around week 3 or 4, or maybe you don't even make it that far, and you want to actually give yourself a proper chance with an approach that's going to fit your life a lot better, just feel easier in general to actually stick to and get some consistent long-term results and make a change that is going to last forever. Make this the time for you to start now. It's a great time to get started now because in summer, if you're living in Australia, in summer in a few months, you could look like a completely different person. So if there's a time to start, it's now. If you're ready to start now or you're interested in getting to know a bit more about the Landen coaching program, just go to my Instagram at landenquin.coaching and just message me the word interested so I know you came from this episode, and we'll run you through some more information or we'll get you started.